Oh, that makes much more sense.
Oh.
Hello, welcome to another episode of the Bracket Guys. I'm Nick the Goat Mazesco.
I'm David Jesus Clatterbuck.
And we certainly do appreciate you tuning in. Today we got the matchup of the 5 seed Chipotle versus the 12 seed
INGcredible.
In the Foreign Foods bracket.
It's going to be a long episode.
It's going to be a long episode if you have to yell at every time.
Well, they shouldn't write it that way.
But nonetheless, as always, please check us out on our WordPress page, bracketguys@wordpress.com, or bracketguys.wordpress.com. I wouldn't try the at.
At WordPress. Email us at wordpress.com. That'll help.
Our email is thebracketguys@gmail.com.
Or that, whatever. We
But
have
nonetheless,
Facebook, we have YouTube.
Dude, we have all of it. So please, check it out. Give us your comments. Give us your predictions.
My dryer.
Oh, okay. You got shit buzzing in the background. Yeah, it's like the code word or something.
You said laundry.
But nonetheless, check us out on those. Give us your comments, any ideas. Please, we love to hear from the viewers. So
print out the brackets. So thanks to whoever posted that idea. So
yes.
Again, post brackets, keep track of what's going on, give predictions, what have you. Vote in the poll. There's always going to be a poll the day of. Each time we do one of these videos, day before, there's going to be a poll. You predict the winner.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So check it out. Share it with your friends, family, everybody. Love to have more people watch. Love to hear your input. Tell us why we were wrong to say that, I don't know, Serrano's got a better bang for the buck, where there might be some very big Sushi Out fans. I don't know.
Sushi Out fans.
But nonetheless, that's what we got, so shall we get to it?
Let's do it.
Alright, this is Chipotle versus
INGcredible. Alright, so the first criteria we use for the restaurant overall is the service that you get there. And then for the record, I know INGcredible has 4 locations, I guess, in the Lansing area. I don't know how many.
Yes, one on Saginaw, one on Cedar Street, one on Lake Lansing, and then one up in DeWitt off of 27.
I've only been to the one in the Lake Lansing location.
Chipotle, I believe there's only one. I guess there's another one.
There's lots of Chipotles in the world, but I think
I only know of
there's only the one in the area.
I've only seen the one.
But for INGcredible, obviously, I've only been to the one on Lake Lansing. So if the service at other places is better or worse or whatever, I can't really speak to that.
But it is. Feel free to comment.
I guess feel free to be like, yes, the people at the one on Cedar Street,
are awesome.
Give out free money with egg rolls, and I guess we'll go there more often.
Yeah, fair enough.
Whatever. But so with that having been said, the service between the two, Chipotle is always very friendly. I mean, I've never really been there when it's busy. Every time I go in there, for some reason, it's like I'm on Grand River, and so I walk in like at Offic at 3 o'clock, and I'm the only person there. The people I'm with, so everyone's very friendly, and it's always been. I've never had a bad experience there. INGcredible, also very nice people. I'll say this, and I don't know if this is service. I don't know where this goes exactly, and I probably will come back to this later. INGcredible's pricing is really hard to understand with their menu. And so people there are very friendly, but I always end up paying an amount that I didn't expect. Frequently, it's less than I thought I would pay, but it's just very inconsistent. And so in that regard, Chipotle is very much, you walk in there, people are nice, and you sort of know what you're getting. In a way that's not true at INGcredible. Again, I know that's service. We don't have a accuracy of menu pricing criteria on here, so I'm throwing it in. So I'd probably give my vote, in this case, to Chipotle.
I would probably also give it to Chipotle. I think, based on one thing and one thing only, I have literally never been to Chipotle where I haven't actively talked to the people making my food, and they've always been very lovely to me. And I think that's very important. I think, INGcredible, I've never really had a conversation with them. They kind of give me my food and we move on with our lives.
Yes.
I think Chipotle has always been very friendly. I mean, for a while there, I went there a couple times, and the same guy was working there, and we talked every time. They were very friendly. The food always came out very quickly. So I would give my nod to Chipotle. We move on. We get variety. Two very different styles of cuisine, but very similar in terms of the variety sense, I think. Chipotle has sort of your 4 basic, I think it's 5 meats, I think. I believe there are 5. But your 5 basic meats, you can get them in basically 3 different ways. 3 different ways that I've always had them. For me, Chipotle has lots of options for very little ingredients. Like, I don't think of, man, what an extensive menu. It's a very limited menu, but they give you lots of options. Tons of different salsas, of which I like. I usually get the hot one, but they do have a variety of different ones. I think, and then Incredible is sort of your Panda Express style Chinese restaurant.
Yes.
With a bunch of different dishes. In terms of variety, I think I'm gonna give my point to Chipotle, mainly because I'm impressed with how many ways they can make the burrito. They've gone out of their way to make the burrito or the taco or whatever you get very different, a way to please everybody, different spices on the different meats. I think they do a great job with doing a lot with very little, as opposed to Serrano's, which we talked about yesterday. Not a whole lot of variety there.
And I think that's absolutely true. And I think, for me, I'm actually probably going to go in the other way direction. And the thing that's nice about Incredible, and I do agree with you that you can sort of do the combinations at Chipotle, and that is sort of cool. Though I think it's sort of cool that you can make it so many things another level. I mean, it's just sort of like 5 meats, and it seems like like a 5th grade word problem to me for some reason. But the nice thing about Incredible for me is that you go in there and they have sort of consistent dishes, and it's not one of those Chinese restaurants that has like 59 numbers on the menu. There's 10 or 15 or 20 dishes. I sort of lose track. But they do have some rotating specials, which I like. So you can go in there and I am frequently surprised, especially if you don't go in for a week or two, and you go in and they have a different dish, and some of which have been very good. And the orange chicken was sort of coming and going. And so that's something I really like, that you go in there and there's something new to try. And I know a lot of people you like to go to Chipotle and like, these are the three salsas I get, or these are the things I get. And I think that's cool. But I like going in there and being like, hey, that's new, I'll try that. So for that reason, I'm going to go with Incredible for variety. In terms of location, this is sort of a hit and miss one, I know, in the sense of, for me, obviously, Incredible is very convenient, it's very near our apartment. They have 4 locations, which is nice. Chipotle's location is very, so I mean, it's on Grand River, so the same kind of thing we talked about yesterday with Sushi Ya. You can't really go wrong with being across from, the major campus, being on the main strip of East Lansing. So in that sense, I'm sort of torn here, because I think of the 5 locations that these places have, I think the strongest single location is Chipotle, but Incredible has 4. So in that sense, I'm sort of torn. I'd say before I make a pick, I'd sort of hear what your thoughts are on comparing those two sort of hit and miss things.
I think looking at the two, for me, I think looking at the two, you're welcome to give points to both too. That is, you can say they're both equal.
I give them both points.
Okay, so 2 points there. I look at both places. I think the thing that is going to tip for the scale for me, I look at the 4 locations of Incredible. They do have 4 locations. I think it's a big benefit for location. However, all 4, they only have one that I would say is in a good location. The Saginaw one, Saginaw's a fairly main drag. Right. The one off of Cedar is kind of south side of Lansing, sort of a place it's off of Cedar Street, so it's not an overly well traveled. There aren't many times that I'm like in South Lansing like that. Sure. And the Lake Lansing one, I didn't notice until I went to Burger King, and it's on that side. So it was sort of the Sushi Ya sort of thing.
And this is not the worst restaurant. We'll get to another restaurant when we do our sandwich back that's worse offender than that. But you're absolutely right. The Lake Lansing, Incredible. If you don't traffic that area a lot, which I do because it's basically where I work right near there, so I saw it. But yes, it's sort of on the back of the building. So if you're coming off 127, it's cool and it's really easy to see. If you're coming towards 127 from East Lansing, it's basically invisible.
So I think I'm going to give my nod to Chipotle only because while I think having multiple locations is important, and if there's another Chipotle location, it just sort of enhances it. But I think I'm going to give it to Chipotle because I am just so overly offended by restaurants whose sign don't face the road that I think you're not really thinking about your marketing strategy. And I think there are lots of restaurants who do that, and I think that's just a big knock.
Hard to argue with that.
And then we get to our last one, returnability. For me, this is fairly no-brainer. For me, it's Chipotle again. And it's mainly for the same reason that Sushi Ya was not picked for me yesterday. Chipotle, there are 3 main competitors to Chipotle. Pancheros, Qdoba, and Chipotle in that East Lansing area. I think the other 2 are terrible. I've only been to Qdoba very limited. But Pancheros I've been to a couple times. The first time I was with my dad, I thought it was good. Then I went back. Their meat has no flavor. There is no flavor. Chipotle does a great job with flavor, I think. A lot of different spices. And the Pancheros, there was no flavor in any of their salsas. It was kind of beyond belief for me. Incredible, on the other hand, I would just rather eat Panda Express. I think Panda Express puts out a better product. I really enjoy Panda Express's orange chicken. And again, there are so many different Chinese restaurants that I think INGcredible gets lost in the traffic.
I think there's no doubt on that, and this is going to be one where I'm going to try to keep my personal bias out of it for a couple of reasons. First of all, just the style of food at Chipotle, that sort of more fast food as opposed to sit down Mexican, is not really my thing. And INGcredible is, again, literally 3 minutes from where I work, so I eat there like all the time just because I leave work and I'm hungry and my computer looks like a ham like we're in a cartoon, so I just go to INGcredible because it's very convenient. That being said, I think you're absolutely right. Panda Express is not one that's on our board. Rice Kitchen, which is our 7 seed, actually is another good competitor. So if I wasn't in quite the perfect location for them, I would probably be more. I don't necessarily say, "Oh man, I want INGcredible. I want something quick and convenient," and that's right there. But if Rice Kitchen or Panda Express is there, I'm not like, "Oh man, I miss INGcredibles," whatever. So I'm probably going to go with Chipotle because I know, again, that's not a dish that jumps out at me a lot to eat. But if that's your thing, then it's definitely something that's going to draw you in.
And I think and that's an important thing, I think that's a big thing to think about is if restaurant A was 4 minutes from your apartment, how often would you... I mean, the amount of restaurants that I go to that aren't 4 minutes from my apartment is low. It's low. And, when we'll do a couple bonus reviews of new restaurants that we try, but the majority of them are within 2 minutes of our apartment because going outside that radius is... work for me. I'm already hungry. I'd like to eat.
And I'll say this. I don't know that I necessarily think Panda Express or Rice Kitchen. I'm going to go to Rice Kitchen in more detail in 2 days, I guess. Yeah. But I don't know if those necessarily are so much better than INGcredible that if they were that, or that if there wasn't this much closer. I think it's purely that is a style of food which is much more convenient than I think Chipotle, which is still more of a big meal kind of thing. So yeah, but I think in this case it's Chipotle. I mean, if you want that kind of food, Chipotle is going to draw you in. Has some more going on that makes it unique to draw you in than INGcredible, which that's why there's so many Chinese restaurants, because it is, to some extent, it's interchangeable. But it is when you go there when it's quick, and you go there when it's convenient.
Right. So we move on to the food portion. I think the first category is quality when served. And, this is a tough one for me to think about. Both places are very cafeteria style, so both places are very much when you go.
Right.
I mean, it is very much when you go. It is... True. If you catch it in the middle of the afternoon, you're going to get colder food because they haven't replaced it as soon. In terms of quality when served, I think I'm going to give points to both. I don't think I can really determine. I think both places in their peak put out high quality food. I think many places not in their peak don't put out as quality food. I don't think either one stands out for me in terms of quality.
Right. I think in terms for quality for me when served, and I think you're absolutely right, especially you do get things where it's basically the food is stored buffet style at least, even if it's not served that way. And you do get that tendency if you go in at an off-peak time, then it's not going to be as good. Quality when served, and again, I get that I'm in the minority on this, and I get sort of, I don't know if there's quality when served or taste, so I decide where my points are going exactly. I'm not a big Chipotle fan, and I get that I'm very much in the minority on that. I just never feel particularly satisfied. And I think maybe it's because I don't like really spicy salsa, and their only not very spicy salsa is less of a salsa than chunks of tomato that they throw at your food. But I never really like, so I think that's actually going to go with under taste. So for now, I think both get quality when served. You go there, you order the food, and it pretty much, you get what you should see it before you order it. It is what it is. So I think both of them for quality is that, but then I would let it in my taste one. I think my taste one is going to go to INGcredible. And there's some things I don't like there. I don't really care for their fried rice. I don't really like, and there's a couple places in East Lansing I don't really like the way they do it. I just don't like the taste of Chipotle, and I get that, again, I'm in the minority, and maybe this is just the Mexican food isn't my thing as much, but again, my tendency, my preference of the taste is just incredible. I like their sweet and sour chicken. I like their orange chicken. I think they do some dishes well, so that's where my vote's going to go.
Chipotle. I literally don't have any more to say than that.
Yeah, no more to say.
I have literally... You are the only person I've ever talked to that has ever said, man, I don't like Chipotle. And I think that's sort of the problem with the taste category is if you don't like it, you're not going to like it. If you took me to an Ethiopian restaurant, I'm probably not going to like it because I'm not a big fan of Ethiopian food. It could be very high quality Ethiopian food.
Right.
I just don't like it. I have literally, everybody who I've talked to who goes to Chipotle regularly or goes to Chipotle because they are a Mexican fan, I've literally never heard anyone say, "Man, Chipotle just wasn't that good for me. I like Pancheros better."
And
I've never heard anyone.
And I completely.
And for me, Chipotle, hands down,
Sure.
best tasting Mexican. I think it's quick, it's easy, it always has a lot of flavor. I'm a big spicy food fan, so I think their chicken is delicious and their hot salsa is delicious. I always leave feeling full. I always leave. Their guacamole is by far the best guacamole I've ever had anywhere because they put like peppers in it, so it's actually got some flavor. It is not even a contest for me. Whereas INGcredible, I think, is generic Chinese food A.
And I think and I think the majority, and I'm sure, and again, taste. I mean, taste both, and it does have the convenience for us of taste really being both the taste of the food and it, to some extent, taste is unlike most of the other ones on your taste really does have a personal element. So if you want, I mean, computers to do these reviews, and I guess you can do that. I absolutely agree with you. The vast majority of people I talk to, and by vast I mean pretty much everybody. I don't really talk about Chipotle that much, but people really like Chipotle. I get that I'm in the minority on this one, but I think, and I am trying to give them a fair shake. I mean, in light of my not being as big a fan of Mexican food, I say I like INGcredible, and so this on the personal taste one, I am going to go with INGcredible, but I certainly can't argue it any way on most people tend to be a big fan.
Sure. We move on to bang for the buck. Again, for me, not even it is for me. It's Chipotle. It is. Their burritos very affordable. $5.95 I think is the chicken one. I believe is the $5.95 for the chicken one. I usually pay about $10 there because I usually get chips and guacamole and a drink.
Their chips are very good. I will say that for sure.
And I literally, there aren't many restaurants, but for $10 I literally leave. I eat my food. I'm literally stuffed the rest of it. I usually don't eat another meal. If I eat it for lunch, I probably won't eat till 8 or 9.
Sure.
INGcredible. Chinese food never really fills me up that much. And I think it is a very affordable place. It is fairly cheap. But again, their fried rice, nothing to write home about. The taste of their food, very comparable to other Chinese restaurants. If it wasn't 2 minutes from the apartment, I think it would get. But I think in terms of bang for the buck, Chipotle, I've always felt just absolutely stuffed from, and I think $10 is a very. And if I didn't get chips and guacamole every time, it'd be closer to $7.
Right.
And usually when I eat at home, I have my own drinks here, so really it's only like $6, and it's a shit ton of food.
And I agree, and I completely agree with that. I mean, I think for this one, I'm gonna bang for the buck. I'm gonna have to go with Chipotle as well. I like INGcredible. I think I said earlier, their menu is not clear, and that's where I give them the knock on service before. The menu is not really clear how much you're supposed to pay for getting multiple dishes, and some of them are in the combos and some aren't. Again, every time I go there, I underestimate the amount of money I think I'm gonna spend, which is weird, but. Even with that said, even with the fact that I never actually spend as much money as I think I'm planning to spend, I go to Chipotle, and again, if you want a lot of Mexican food, you can get a lot of Mexican food. I don't tend to want a lot of Mexican food, but if you want it, it's there and for a very affordable price. So I think in that case, I'm definitely gonna have to go with Chipotle. And then for specials, I think the special one for me, the only thing that can be special other than it's next to my apartment, which is not really universally applicable enough to go in this review, is I love the chips at Chipotle. Those things are delicious. And for not really liking the food there that much, the chips are freaking delicious.
Well, and I will bring up another one for and INGcredible has some interesting specials. I think they do for lunch. It's like $5.99, and you get 2 entrees
plus
and
rice.
But again, their menu.
The menu is unclear. I get very
which is kind of annoying. But in terms of intangibles, the one that always stands out to me, I went with a friend of mine who's not you. I have one other friend. We went to Chipotle. And actually, I don't think he was with me this time. I think it was over this. It was just during exam week, and I went in there, and they went during exam week on MSU's campus. Any student who shows their student ID gets a free burrito.
Oh.
To which I went,
all right.
You got me sold. And I think their chips are absolutely delicious. I sit there and I go, I don't understand how you don't sell these in bags because I would buy them all. And I think that's sort of an interesting intangible, is that Chipotle has really stuck to their value. They really don't want to be a drive-thru restaurant. They don't want to be a mass market. They don't want to sell their salsas in stores. They really want to come to our restaurant and eat our food.
Right.
And I think that's interesting for me, and I don't see that too much with restaurants, so I think I would give my nod to Chipotle.
My nod, I would say with Chipotle. I mean, INGcredible is there's nothing about it that's particularly unique or especially memorable. I mean, Chipotle does have some things that they really try to emphasize. INGcredible is just, we are a Chinese restaurant with Chinese food. And I went, yes, you are. I agree. And I have no problem. And there's nothing wrong with that. But for this category, for the factor, I think specials like that. I mean, I think it is. I think that's definitely where the vote's going to go.
So I think if my tally is correct, it appears that the Mexican restaurant Chipotle is moving on. So with the final score of 14-5, Chipotle does move on to face Mumbai Indian Palace. As we did our tally, we did notice that the final from person to person was 6-4 in favor of Chipotle for David, and 8-1 in favor of Chipotle to me. I think this is a big evidence of this is just our opinion. So if you disagree with us, if you are a big INGcredible fan, if you own INGcredible, I don't know. I'm very mad at people who own INGcredible.
You're very mad. I was going to say you could come be on the show, but no, you can't.
No.
Because he'll hurt you.
No. But these are our opinions, so please comment on our WordPress page, comment on our YouTube video.
Like us on Facebook.
Like us on Facebook. Post on our Facebook timeline. Say that we're idiots.
Yeah,
I don't know. Whatever you feel like doing. Tomorrow we have the 6-11 matchup in the foreign foods bracket. That's Woody's Oasis Mediterranean Restaurant versus Fiesta Chara. Should be an interesting matchup. That's all we have for today. Tune in tomorrow. We certainly do appreciate you tuning in. Have a good night. Or day if you watch this in the day. And that's the way the cookies come.